Welcome to episode 3 of Missle Industries ZX10R trainwreck build. Today I'm going to steal some parts of this bike that I won't be needing anymore if it's going to remain a track hack. Namely the rear chain guard and the mudguard. I won't need those on my track bike, but I will need them on my road bike, my road pig. And I'm also going to see if I can swap this crusty non-functioning dash with one I have in a box that I have had a long time. This one in here. Now I bought this on eBay for $180 a long time ago as a spare for my race bike, because these were $1,053 brand new. Now this is very similar to the ZX10 one, but the red line's different. But if I can get basic instruments on either one of these bikes, that would be tremendous. Moment of truth. Plug from this one. Into this one and see if it catches fire. It might be more than a dash fault, it might be a wiring fault. Who would have thunk after it caught fire? Right, now I'm with the functional bike and I've got access to the speedo and it's supposed to do this. Like that. Alright, let's see what happens with the crap dash. Okay, so it lights up. But the LCD component of it is rooted. So let's see what happens if I put the ZX6R dash onto this bike. Right, I've got my ZX6R dash plugged into my functional ZX10R, and let's see if it does what it's expected to do. Woohoo! I wonder if the bike could start. Any reason why I shouldn't start it? Oh yeah! So my hypothesis stands. My ZX6R dash will work on the ZX10, but the wiring harness on that bike is too damaged for this speedo to function. So I'm going to need to delve into the wiring harness on that and see what connections are damaged. And once I've sorted that out, I'll be able to put that speedo that I already have onto that bike to give me a functioning speedo. Win! It might be more than a dash fault, it might be a wiring fault. Who would have thunk after it caught fire? I'm literally 5 minutes into this wiring exploration to see what's going on with my dash. And while I was experimenting with this very damaged plug here, I unplugged the harness, gave the connection a bit of a clean up, plugged it all back in again, and the backing light and the dash lights came alive, and then I tried to repeat the process and then nothing. So what I've discovered, I think I've found my fault. If I wriggle these wires here, that's not going to do it for me now. Right in here, somewhere in here is where the fault lies. Come on, oh, there we go. That means the dash is powering up. Something in amongst this mess here is the problem. Got my fuel light, got my neutral light, got my oil pressure light. So I'm going to take a punt that in amongst this there will be a red wire that I'll need to repair. And then I'll be cooking with gas with a dash that works. Alright, I'm closing in on the fault. It's either one of these two bodgy wires that have been reconnected. Obviously not very well. Mystery solved. That joint there is full of flux and the circuit is not good at all, and that's the earth for the whole dash, so surprise surprise, doesn't go. Alright, I've used a chocolate block connector to reconnect the earth in lieu of soldering it again, because that's kind of how I roll. At least I've put that in there, I know that it's going to work. Let's see if this crusty dash powers up. And look at that, powered up straight away. Next thing, see if I can get the ZX10R dash to power up on this bike. Will my ZX10R dash power up on the Trainwreck bike? Here we go. Woo! That's freaking awesome. Alright, mudguard fitted, chain guard fitted. I've made sure all of these bolts somewhat match. There's a bit of a hodgepodge of rusty cap head screws holding all this together prior to me getting at it. I've located the rear brake line with one of the factory brackets that was dangling in space. So that's sorted out. More and more like a factory bike every day. Alright, it's coffee time for me, so I'm going to wrap this video up. I have done the rear hugger, I think that's the technical name for it. I've installed the chain guard, and the most important aspect of this episode was getting the dash to work. That turned out to be more than just a dash fault, that turned out to be a wiring fault. Fortunately, the wiring fault was up at the front of the bike, and it was easy enough to track down once I started testing the harness. So that's been fixed. The dash has been installed. Half the bolts were missing for the headlight assembly, and these bikes, the headlight assembly lugs pretty much tie all the fairing together. So I've reinstalled all the missing bolts to the front end to hold that headlight assembly and all these fairing pieces together. All that's lacking now is some rear view mirrors, which I'll cover in another episode. So there you have it. How good is that? So far I haven't spent a cent other than buying the bike. So I'm very pleased so far. This is going to sound extraordinarily dodgy, but I'm going to put this O-ring in an acetone bath overnight to encourage it to swell up a bit, to see if I can get my pump to seal properly. Oh, Jesus. That's freaking enormous. I'm probably going to have to let that sit out, shrink a bit. Whoops.